guys, this is Carrie with Fullerton Professional Organizing, and today I'm talking to you about a blogger I found, Lydia Beiler, or Beiler, probably Beiler, Beiler. The blog is Thrifty Frugal Mom, and I thought I would tell you a list of things that she says that you can, these are ideas of things that you can make from scratch. And most of them are pretty simple. And now that we have Pinterest, you can all find your own recipes right there on Pinterest. But making your own refried beans. Now, it's funny because I have a lot of dried beans that I bought during the pandemic, and I bought them just in case something unexpected happened and we needed something to eat. I bought that and some powdered milk, and I still have those items. So I thought, wow, refried beans are really easy to make because all you have to do is make a pot of beans in your crock pot and then mash some up, cook and my mom liked to mix in a little extra butter, and there you have refried beans. So if you are wanting to start cooking some things from scratch, this might be a little list of some things that you can start small. You don't want to start cooking every single thing from scratch if you're not used to doing that. It can be very overwhelming, but you can start small. And that's one area, especially here where I live, refried beans is the first recipe that I'm going to go ahead and make because I have Taco Tuesday and we eat refried beans on our tostadas on Tuesdays, and so that would be a very good thing to have in my freezer ready to go for taco night. But here's a list of things that she makes. Homemade Bisquick mix, and as you know, Bisquick mix, you can make a lot of things, not just biscuits with Bisquick mix. She makes her own yogurt. That might be a little ambitious for me, I'm not sure, but breadcrumbs, cream of soup, healthier Alfredo sauce. Now, I do make this, and you're not gonna, if you've never made Alfredo sauce because you thought it was too complicated, it's not. I buy the thing of already shredded Parmesan cheese, and sure, you can grade your own, but it's the fresh Parmesan cheese, and I divide it into baggies, and then once a month or so, I will put this sauce over chicken. We can't have pasta because of diabetes in the family, but we can put it on our chicken and still enjoy chicken Alfredo. And then you can add in some spaghetti. If you're not diabetic, you can add in pasta. But what I meant was spinach. You can add some spinach in there and have chicken and spinach Alfredo. And it's really delicious. And it's so simple. All you have to do is add in some heavy cream and Parmesan and a little salt, and that's it. Now, sometimes if you want to thicken it up and it's a little, it's not as thick as you would like, add in just a little bit of cream cheese. Now, that is my low carb version because typically to thicken it up, you would cook a little flour in some butter or oil and then add the heavy cream and the Parmesan cheese. But still, very, very simple recipe. And I always have heavy cream for my coffee anyway, so it's super easy. And then I just freeze the rest of the Parmesan cheese in little baggies in my freezer. So I have it every time I need it. But you can also make that Alfredo sauce. If you're going to make it anyway to put over your chicken and spinach, you might as well make extra. Freeze it in ice cube trays and then put those little ice cubes in baggies, and then you have Alfredo sauce very conveniently. Enchilada sauce, and make it ahead of time and freeze it. Barbecue sauce, onion soup mix, taco seasoning, sloppy joe sauce, rotisserie chicken. Now that's one I would love to learn how to make at home, because I love rotisserie chicken, just that flavor of the rotisserie chicken. And it says, if you don't have an Instapot, check out this oven rotisserie chicken recipe. So on her blog, she has that recipe. Chicken broth. Now, chicken broth is also very easy, because if you ever need to cook chicken so that you can make chicken salad, you can use the broth that was used to cook your own chicken breasts in chicken broth. Cook your own chicken breasts and use that chicken broth. Or if you have cooked chicken, in whole chicken, and peeled it off of the bone, you can use that water that was from the chicken and then add those chicken bones into it with some other seasonings and cook it for even longer, and it makes a really nice chicken broth. And it's super easy because you can just make it in the crock pot or over the stove, and it's not one of those things that takes a lot of stirring and attention. You just cook it on medium, and you've got a nice chicken stock. She says, stop throwing out your chicken or turkey bones and use them to make a deliciously rich, nutritious broth for just pennies instead. And she says you can make chicken bouillon. Now that one I didn't know you could do, and that's a new one for me. Shake and bake. You can make your own shake and bake. That would be good, since I would love to have something easy like that. Homemade salad dressings. Super easy granola. Instant oatmeal packets. Pancakes. Cornbread. Apple butter and strawberry jam. 100% whole wheat bread. And she says right now, in the season that she's in, since she homeschools and does a lot of other things, she doesn't have time to make the bread anymore, but it is possible to make bread. I still have a bread machine from when I first got married 30 some odd years ago, and so if I were to ever make bread, for me it's super easy in the bread machine. But because we're diabetic, I only make bread for Christmas once a year, and I make cinnamon rolls. But you can make your own dinner rolls, French bread, pizza crust, your own frosting, cake, chocolate cake, pie crust, graham cracker crust. So those are a good place to start with any of those recipes that you want to start making from scratch. I'm going to start with the refried beans. Now she says cooking from scratch, to her means nothing prepackaged or convenienced foods, making your own sauces, homemade mixes for tortilla mix, biscuit mix, seasonings. She did say that, usually tomato sauce and tomato paste and stuff like that doesn't have a lot of chemicals and preservatives in them anyway, so she does buy those in a can. She says it is less expensive to cook from scratch, and it has fewer chemical preservatives. Chocolate syrup is just sugar, cocoa, salt, water, and a little touch of vanilla, and you boil it for 5 minutes. Sloppy Joe sauce is just onions, ketchup, sugar, apple cider vinegar, mustard, Worcestershire sauce, and salt, and cook for 20 minutes, and then mix in your cooked ground beef. She says start slow, and if it flops, that's okay. Start again. Start with the easy stuff. She made bread and messed up the recipe and had to do it again and learn all over again. So there is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's okay because practice makes perfect, and once you get there, it's cheaper. It takes less time than you think. And what season are you in? Like she said, she's in a season right now where she's too busy to make her homemade bread, but she makes most everything else homemade. So let go of the things that you don't have time to make and keep it simple. And she says, and this is what I do as well. I don't know about meal prepping as far as, healthy lunches, because my husband doesn't take his lunch, and I no longer go out to have to bring a lunch. And if I do, I use a protein shake. But meal prepping in the sense of, prepping for your meals the next day and the rest of the week or the rest of the month. She says she meal preps while cooking, and while she's waiting for her food to cook, she's using that time to also get other things prepped for the rest of the week or month. And a good example of that is something that I've let you know in the past that I do. If I'm going to make chicken thighs, then I will defrost the whole package of chicken thighs, and then I will package them in Ziploc bags for later. Or I might even season them up with rosemary and garlic seasoning and lemon pepper seasoning, and have those already pre-seasoned for later down the road when I cook some chicken. So that's what she means. Or if you're going to make breakfast sausage, go ahead and slice up the whole thing of breakfast sausage and pre-freeze them, and then put them in a baggie so that they're already sliced and ready to cook the next time you make breakfast sausage. And if you're going to, make a sausage, broke up into a gravy or something, you can still cook it and break it up, because I freeze it raw. So make your sauces for dinner and then make extra to freeze for later. And the same with meats. If you're going to make ground beef for taco night, make a lot of ground beef so you have plenty for the next few taco nights. All right, now here's a review of some of the things Lydia teaches for cooking from scratch. Lydia gives us tips on cooking from scratch on her blog, as well as some ideas of things that you can cook from scratch that you probably wouldn't think about. And we already listed about 20. How many of those did we list? I listed 29 ideas. So Google and Pinterest are great sources for finding simple recipes from scratch cooking. Simple. Keep it simple. As the years go by, she has become more conscious of food, like what all is in food, and more conscious of ingredients, and have tried to avoid preservatives and things like that more. And when you're making your own, that is, what's in there. Cooking from scratch is making meals yourself using minimal prepackaged convenient foods or pre-cooked meats. It also includes making your own sauces and mixes. Yes, you can make your own cake mixes, cookie mixes. You can make all of those and have them convenient for when you do want it to be convenient. Cooking from scratch is cheaper and has fewer preservatives. You know exactly what is in your food. From scratch cooking takes less time than you think it will, and as with anything, if it's something you want to do, you will find the time for it. It also may not be the right season for you, and that's okay too. If you are a beginner, start slow. You don't have to jump in making everything at once. Make an extra pot of spaghetti sauce and freeze it. Those refried beans. You'll have your charro beans and your refried beans, and you can freeze them. Start with simple recipes and easy meals to avoid getting overwhelmed. Use the time you have while waiting for something else to cook to meal prep something else. Doubling recipes is a great way to save time meal prepping. Think of ways to stretch your food. For example, buy a whole chicken, use the meat for meals, and then make chicken broth from the bones and whatever juice was left from when you cooked the chicken. All right, now on her blog, she also has a bunch of skillet meals, easy skillet meals that will stretch your budget. They're kind of like homemade, what is that called? Those boxes of skillet meals that you can buy, except you're making it from scratch. And I think that's another thing you can make ahead is cook some rice, cook it to where it's just almost done, and freeze that in batches as well. So anytime you want to make a skillet meal with rice, you have that ready to mix in with some ground beef. Now her skillet meals had a lot of carbs, rice, and pasta, so if you're diabetic, it might be a little bit harder to make her skillet meals, or you can just make those skillet meals and leave out the potatoes, the pasta, and the rice. Now, it won't stretch as far, but you can replace that with either cabbage or mushrooms or cauliflower rice. What else do I stretch? Mostly those items. Mushrooms for I like to stretch with mushrooms for pasta dishes. Oh, and zucchini. Now my husband doesn't like the zucchini, so I'm not able to do that, but you can if your family likes zucchini. So those are a lot of ways you can stretch those skillet meals even if you're diabetic. There are things you can take out and things that you can add in. And for a thickener, I already mentioned cream cheese makes a good thickener for any of those skillet meals that already have cheese in them anyway. The cream cheese just thickens it up and also makes it a little bit cheesier and creamier. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this is going to save those that are interested in a lot of money, and I hope you find out that it doesn't really take as much time as you think it is. If you're already going to cook a meal, why not throw one of these ideas together at the same time and double it, triple it, whatever. I have an extra freezer, so of course you've got to keep that in mind. But a lot of these homemade meals from scratch will also save you a lot of room in your pantry, because you won't need all those boxed meals in your pantry but it will take up a little more space in your freezer. So you will have to have a very well organized freezer. I have a very well organized freezer. I have chicken, beef, pre-made meals, and then extra stuff below. And then in the door I have my frozen cheeses and frozen soups and whatever will fit in the door of my freezer. So all right, guys, I will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.